Hello and welcome back to Al's Airguns. Today is part 2 of our Umarex Markpoint versus Ruger Mark IV comparison. This is our shootout. Wonder which one will win. Actually, I've gotten a lot of comments about both, and we have some additional data to share, both in terms of velocity and accuracy. And I think it's going to be a really good episode. So please stick with us and let's jump right into it. I think the first thing I want to talk about is let's go ahead and talk about velocity first, because that is one of the major differences between these two pistols, is their velocity and power. For the velocity and accuracy portions, we tested both pellet guns with the Beeman wad cutter pellets, the RWS Superpoint Extras, and the Crossman Destroyers, thinking this gave us a good spread in pellets in terms of both weight. The Superpoints are kind of heavy. The Destroyers are a very common hollow point that are on sale these days. And the Beemans here are just a basic wad cutter pellet. So they provided good contrast, I feel, for this part of it. Let's go ahead and compare the two of them. When it came to shooting the Beemans, the wad cutters shot out of the Markpoint pistol at an average of 313.2 feet per second. Those same pellets shot out of the Mark IV at an average velocity, and all of these tests were done with 5 shots and then averaged. Shot out of the Mark IV with a 5-shot average of 269.4 feet per second. When it came to the RWS, they shot out of the Markpoint at an average velocity of 281 feet per second, and these are an 8.2 grain pellet as opposed to a 7.4 grain pellet over here. So those same pellets shot out of the RWS at 258 feet per second average. When it came to the Destroyers, shot out of the Markpoint at 333 feet per second and an average of 251.8 feet per second out of the Ruger for the Destroyers. So clearly, in terms of velocity, the Markpoint is delivering substantially more velocity. When you look at muzzle energy to compare them, just looking at the Destroyers, and that's why I say this is definitely not a hunting pistol, not that this is, but a Destroyer that shoots out of the Markpoint at 333 feet per second is actually generating 1.84 foot-pounds of energy. That same pellet out of the Mark IV is 251.8 feet, or 252, and that equates to a muzzle energy of 1.04 foot-pounds. So yeah, there is a substantial power difference between the two pistols. Next, let's go ahead and take a look at accuracy. Okay, for accuracy, let's go ahead and take a look at the Markpoint first. When it came to the Beeman pellets, we got a very respectable target. Set that down there. And I know some of these targets are hard to see with these small caliber pellets, and depending on the type, they don't always poke a good hole in this cardboard. These are, excuse me, I got the wrong stock there. That's actually a Meister Klugen that I'd shot out of those, and as you can see, the Meisters group very well in that too. The Destroyers, the Crossman, also shot well, a little low, but gave us an excellent group. Should actually scoot that over, because shot the RWS Superpoint Extras out of it, and they did very well too. Again, shooting pretty much to point to aim. So when it comes to accuracy, for me, with the spring gun, even though we're only shooting at about 15 feet here, that's pretty good, especially for a new spring gun, and not particularly accurate pellets. These are just very common pellets. Now let's go ahead and take a look at how the Mark IV did with those same pellets. Okay, now taking a look at accuracy in the Mark IV. I shot the Beemans first, and this brings up one of the cons of the Mark IV that I have to talk about right now. Yes, this pistol, and this is not true of the Ruger version. I've only experienced this on the Umarex pellet pistol copy, or not the Umarex version, excuse me. This is not true of the Ruger firearm. I have only noticed this on the Umarex produced copy of the Ruger Mark IV in 177 caliber pellet gun. And that is, these adjustable sights lack the range to dial it in properly. And I've heard that this is not unique to my gun. Some apparently will get you right where you want to be, but mine does not have sufficient adjustment to actually get me in the bullseye, which means if I shoot it a lot, I get used to estimating where I need to be, applying a little Kentucky windage, and I can hit the target. But if I just pick it up and shoot it, as you see, I'm going to hit to the left. And that's consistent through all of the pellets that I shot in it. Some of them group tighter than others out of the Mark IV. I didn't have the RWS target, and I guess that's why I put the Meister Kugeln in there, because you could compare the two, the Markpoint. And this actually is a pellet that the Ruger Mark IV pellet pistol actually likes, as you can see by the group, but out of 5 shots, one of them's not even on the paper. And shooting the Crossman destroyers turned in even worse results. As you can see, again, this is 5 shots. 3 made it to paper. They were the 3rd one that I shot, so I was getting my windage estimation in a little better, but the group size was such that it's just not a real accurate pistol. Can you hit a can with it? Sure. But if it comes to shooting any kind of target, I find the gun extremely challenging. So, in terms of accuracy, I really have to give it to the Markpoint over the Umarex produced Ruger Mark IV. Okay, so that brings us to pros and cons. Let's start with the Ruger Mark IV. We've already got it on the table. Pros: looks. It was a landslide in the comments in terms of favoring the looks of the Ruger Mark IV over the other air gun. And I understand that. It is a very good-looking pistol. It is copied, modeled after a very good-looking pistol. And as a result, the Ruger Mark IV firearm, as I believe, sold millions of copies in its various iterations. Well, not the Mark IV, but obviously there were Marks II, III, and so on. And they've always had this same design style. The grip angle favors that of the Luger pistol, and has always really been widely accepted. Very pointable, and it handles very well. So yeah, looks and handling definitely go to the Ruger Mark IV. Also, I would give a nod in terms of construction to the Mark IV because of its extensive use of steel and metal. Very little polymer on it, and I think we still kind of equate that with quality. So in terms of pride of ownership, because of the steel construction and the looks, I really have, and being a twin to a very famous firearm, I have to give that to the Ruger Mark IV. Additionally, it's substantially more compact than the other air gun. It does feature a, quote, adjustable rear sight, and we've talked a little bit about that, and also a, quote, fiber optic front sight. Okay, now let's go ahead and talk about cons on the Ruger Mark IV. Number 1, the sights are poor. Although it's adjustable, it lacks the range needed to actually get it on target. At least in my copy, and some of the comments I've read around the internet say that my copy is not alone. The fiber optic, while it looks good in this picture, that's because we're under heavy light here. In normal light, that front sight looks black. That plastic they have in there just does not illuminate like a good fiber optic sight is expected to. Additionally, the automatic safety is annoying. When the gun's new, it's hard to get off, and very annoying. Other con is not very accurate. It's just not a very accurate pistol. At least mine's not. I'd like to see target shot by somebody whose is. It's fun, but it's not accurate. It's also more expensive than the other pistol we're looking at, and from the comments I've read, less durable. Many people have talked about having a problem after they're worn, with sometimes if they're bumped, it will discharge, which is never a good feature in a pistol in my opinion. So, like I say, I think it has some significant cons. If you're shooting it once in a while, if you're going to put 100 pellets through it, and, I think it's great. Like I said, the pride of ownership's great. It's a close copy of the firearm, and that may be another reason to own it. So I'm not saying it's a bad purchase, but we are doing a comparison here. Let's go to the Markpoint. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the pros and cons of the Umarex Markpoint. Pros. Markpoint has polymer construction. Now, I know there's pride of ownership that goes along with metal construction, but one of the advantages of polymer construction is it's weatherproof and much more resistant to rusting and salt air, which some of the people have expressed in the comments, thinking it was good for those reasons. So the polymer construction is really a double-edged sword. Also, very well-designed safeties. The automatic safety is the grip safety, which is not at all annoying, and it comes with a manual safety that works in addition to the grip safety. So if you set this, it is on safe. Unset it, it's off safe, but you still have to depress the grip safety to fire. I really like that system. I think it works amazingly well. I was not sure about it in the beginning, but I've really come to like it. Another thing I like about the pistol, and hopefully we can get some of this in the shot here, but the sights on it are very easy to pick up, and we probably need to put something a different color in front of it. But the front sight has room in that notch to allow you to adjust for any windage requirement, and is clear enough that you can also adjust for elevation. So I know I'm not holding it very still at this angle, but as you can see, it has a very good sight picture, and the sights are well regulated. You put them on the target and they hit it. Now, a particular pellet may shoot higher or lower, but that's the only thing that I've noticed. So in terms of the sights, yeah, I understand on paper the other one has fiber optics in the front, and it has, the adjustable rear, but I feel like these are preferable. Next thing, accuracy. I think this thing performed hands down better in the accuracy test, and I think that will be true in most people's hands. Part of it being the next pro for this gun, it uses a gas piston, which is much faster and smoother in operation and doesn't have any torquing, which is what I think is contributing to that Mark IV hitting to the left. Also has a longer barrel. The longer barrel both benefits ease of cocking, gives you more leverage, and also provides a longer sight radius, which is part of the improved accuracy. The other thing that you can really say about it in comparison to the other pistol is it has substantially more power. Okay, let's talk about the cons. Plastic construction. It's some people don't like that. They feel it lowers the looks and the pride of ownership. And I think that's really an area that the Mark IV excels, is the looks, the construction, and the pride of ownership. This one definitely takes the second seat. Many people having a problem with the color scheme, which I don't, and some with the looks, but yeah, the other pistol gets the nod there. So many people think this pistol is ugly. It is also considerably larger. The other pistol is more compact. So functionally, this is easier to use, but it is a larger format, and some people have complained about that, so we'll consider that a con. Also, the trigger is heavy. The trigger is very heavy. Above 8 pounds when it was new. It's breaking in. You can stage it and stack it like a Smith & Wesson revolver, but and that you can get good accuracy out of the heavy trigger, but it is heavy. Hopefully, and I've seen already on the internet some improvements popping up. So that one is a con at the moment, but you may be able to improve it. One thing I have a problem with is where the trigger guard cuts up here. When I'm pulling through, often part of my finger kind of rubs there in a way that's uncomfortable. And so I personally would like a little more room at the back of the trigger guard. So I consider that a con. The other con that I have with it, and this is again kind of picking nits, but when you go to load a pellet, obviously this chamber is very precise, or we wouldn't get the accuracy we do, but I have a tough time getting my pellets in there. I think the other manufacturers must be putting a slight bevel or chamfering that edge or something, because I don't find it as easy to insert pellets in this barrel as I do other brake barrels that I've used, or as it is in the Ruger Mark IV. So we'll consider that a con. I think that's the end of the con list. So, to summarize, what do we think of these two pistols? Well, frankly, I think they're both excellent values. As I say, I think the Ruger Mark IV certainly takes the nod in terms of construction, looks, pride of ownership, and therefore desirability in those ways. But it does have some disadvantages too, including a higher price point, an automatic safety that's annoying, and the fact that it's not as accurate or as powerful as I'd like it to be. The Markpoint is less expensive. The pride of ownership is certainly different in that it is constructed of plastic or polymer. Some people find the color scheme ugly. It is also a larger format, but it's less expensive, it's more powerful, and it's more accurate. So if you're buying it to shoot a lot, I would encourage you to think more about the Markpoint. If you are buying this in addition to a Ruger pistol that you already have, or just to have fun with now and again, hey, this makes a great option, and it also shoots darts really well. This is too powerful for darts. All right, that's pretty much the summary. If you have some more to share, please add it in the comments. Also, remember to consider our membership, because there's some really neat advantages, early releases, and special features, so you can get in for 99 cents a month. Maybe you want to give it a try. All right, thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you on the next one.